y'all. I just finished watching State of Emergency, The Rise of August Alsina on YouTube, right? And I believe it was about 5 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. And when August said this,
I'm not sure if this is just a black culture thing. When it comes to having certain kind of conversations about our history and where we come from, there's almost this unspoken silent rule that it's almost forbidden to speak on anything that has happened in your life or the dynamic with your parents if it doesn't necessarily paint your family in the perfect light. It's forbidden to speak on because the sharing of your own truth makes you, quote unquote, disrespectful.
that shit resonated with me on so many levels. Like, I really don't think y'all understand. Like, growing up in my household, there was so many levels of dysfunction. Like, it was so much dysfunction. And I'm only choosing to talk about this subject right now because I was recently able to talk about it with my mom and like find some type of closure and like just get over it. You know what I mean? And not so much, not really get over it, but try to understand like what she had going on. And like, in no way, shape, or form am I telling this story to paint my mother in like a bad light at all. To be fair, I feel like I know for a fact that when she was, I think, 5 or 6, she got hit by a car. She had to go through multiple brain surgeries, and she almost didn't make it. I do know of a car accident that she got into, and she broke her arm, and some other injuries that she had when I was like in elementary school. But I'm saying all this to say, I know that these type of things cause some psychological issues, you know, and I don't think my mother ever had therapy or anything to get over what she suffered in her past. Along with her childhood as well, she's told me stories about being sexually abused and being physically abused, and you know, she definitely had her own trauma. So I don't want to, my goal is not to paint my mother in a light that, you know, is dimmed on her. It's just to tell my story. That's it. So, yeah. Okay. So this story is going to be a little bit of TMI. I'm lying. It's not going to be a little bit of TMI. It's going to be a lot of TMI. So I'm just warning y'all right now before I jump into the story. And yeah, so I'm just going to dive in. Not going to waste any more of your time. So I believe I had just turned 13 years old, and I woke up in the middle of the night to go use the restroom. And I realized that I had just got my menstrual. It was my first menstrual. So I went back to my room and woke my cousin up because she had just got her first menstrual as well, like probably like a month or 2 prior. So she knew exactly what to do and how to do. So I woke her up and I asked her if she could come to the bathroom with me, so I can take a shower. And like, that's not like abnormal. Like, I think a lot of girls, like especially in the middle of the night, it was like 1 or 2, we're scared. So it was like one of those things where it's like, can you come to the bathroom with me, you know, while I take a shower? And she's just like, of course. So I'm taking a shower. She's sitting on the toilet waiting for me to hurry up and take a shower. And I look up and I see eyes piercing at me, right? So like just looking at me, like it was almost like a, you know, like something like that. So I screamed and I jumped out of the shower, and I'm crying and I'm hugging my cousin, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm not going to mention his name, but I'm just going to say S. S was looking at me take a shower. And she's like, what? So we're crying on the bathroom floor, just crying. And then there's a knock at the bathroom door, and it was him. And he was like, what's going on? And we're wiping our tears away. We're both wiping our tears away. And we're like, nothing. And he's like, somebody's crying. And we're like, nobody's crying. Nothing, So, he leave us alone. The night passed. I don't even want to continue taking a shower. That night is done and over with. We go back and go lay down. And I contemplated, whether I should tell my mom or not, because I really didn't want to start problems. I didn't want to be that person, to make a situation bad or to break anything up. But I also knew I thought I had a great relationship with my mom, to where I can go and talk to her and tell her what happened. So, I didn't contemplate long. Like, I literally probably thought, like, should I? And I'm like, you have to, So the next morning, I think I paced, and I'm like, oh, I have to go tell her. Like, I was sick to my stomach. And I went and knocked on her room door, and I told her that I needed to talk to her about something that was, very important. She told me to come in her room. I sat down and I told her that I was taking a shower last night because my menstrual came on, and I saw S looking at me through the bathroom window. So we had a pool in the backyard, and it was just like our bathroom. No, it wasn't our bathroom. Her bathroom had the door in it. But anyway, our bathroom was towards the back of the house, which was on the little patio area over there by the pool, whatever. So she said that it wasn't him and that it was probably Coco. Now, S was my mother's boyfriend. It still is my mother's boyfriend. So she said that it was Coco. Coco was our dog. We had like a big old golden retriever, and she said that it may have been Coco. And I was like, no, it was not Coco. I know what I saw, and it wasn't him. Like, it wasn't him. It was a person. I saw who it was. And she's like, no, it wasn't him. So I had to walk away from that feeling like, damn, like my own mom didn't believe me. And, it kind of dampened my relationship with her from that day forward, because I just felt like after that she treated me differently too, is how I felt. So, days, weeks, months, years went by, and it just continued. Like, and it didn't, I don't know if it started with me, but it didn't stop with me, but I'm not going to talk about anybody else, like any of my siblings or anybody that encountered that issue, because that's their story. I'm just here to tell my story. So that went on for a long time. I'm not even going to say a little while, for a really long time. And it got to a point where we would catch him. I know one of my brothers beat him up, beat him after we caught him. It just went on for a long time. Like, this man was fucking sick, watching little girls, like invading little girls' privacy. Like, what? Like, he was a fucking perv, it still is. And I just, even with her catching him, her only solution to that was, we'll just move into 2-story houses so that he don't get to watch the girls. I'll put the girls upstairs and I'll put the boys downstairs. And I was just like, wow, I never understood that. So that's what we did. She moved into 2-story houses, and she housed the girls upstairs and the boys downstairs, and that's just what it was. We still had to walk around in this house with this man for many, many, many years, uncomfortable, feeling betrayed by mom. Like, it was so many emotions that I couldn't even express. I didn't even know what the hell I was feeling and how I was feeling at that age. I just know it wasn't normal. And like August said, it was just one of those things where you don't go running and telling people. Like, even though my mom, I don't think she ever sat and said, hey, don't tell nobody, this is just in our house. We just knew, like, because we were at an age where if we did tell anybody at school, if we did tell anybody outside of the family, that we can be split up, that we can be taken away from her. And I know it sounds crazy, but to a kid, that's the least thing you want to happen. So it was just one of those things where, even though it was like unspoken silence, like everyone was like, well, this is just in our household, it's nobody else's business. And that's just how we handled that. You know, I'm not saying he never touched me. And I'm not accusing him of touching my siblings either, but I don't know. I don't know, because it didn't stop there. He started peeking in our room doors when we're sleeping, you know, and then he run. Like, it was just some creepy ass shit going on. And my mother was she didn't protect us. She just didn't do anything to keep us away from that. So fast forward to 2017. My little brother had passed away, so I had an opportunity. I had never gotten a chance to actually speak to my mom about it, because there was so much it was so much drugs and alcohol, like, growing up and in the household, that I just felt like she was always under the influence. I felt like he would bring it to her just to keep her there, like he was a supplier, and that was his way of keeping her exactly where he wanted her to be. So when my little brother passed away in 2017, and he was like the baby of the 6 that my mom had, I had an opportunity to have her at my house for that summer. And I brought it up to her. We were sitting on my front porch, and it was something was just itching me, you know. And I asked, I was like, you know, S watched us as kids up until teenage years, up until young ladies. And like, I just want to know, why didn't you feel like, why didn't you protect us? Like, why didn't you get rid of him? Like, it was as if you loved him more than you loved your children, but you were supposed to protect us from any harm or any danger. And I feel like you didn't do that. And my mom's response was this, verbatim, I cannot make this shit up. She said, yes. Mind you, I'm bawling my eyes out, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And she said, yes. I said, yes, what? She's like, that she loved him more than us. And I was like, are you serious? And she's just like, yeah. And I'm crying, and she's coming, trying to console me and hug me. And I allowed her to hug me, because, I mean, at that point, it's just like, what do you do? She was just being honest. It's exactly what I felt. We felt like she loved him more than us, and that her duty was for him and not for her children. So I told her, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm crying. I'm like, because that's exactly what you're saying is exactly what you showed us. It's just, now you're saying it, you know. So it hurt, you know, but then I wiped my tears away, and I was just like, wow, you know. And that was the end of that. Like, I knew then that a lot of things are beyond our control, you know. I know that shit ain't happening in my house. But it's just like, we are subjected to so much dysfunction and so much shit that's just not normal, to the fact that when shit is normal, it just doesn't seem right, if that makes any sense. My mother, like, our relationship is still kind of strained, and it's due to a lot of shit. Like, I could just, like, little girls grow up wanting to be like their mom, and I just recall saying, I don't ever want to be like her. I don't ever want to be like her. Like, she's so stupid. Like, these are the things that I would say about my mom growing up, and I just can't even imagine being that person to my kid. Like, I have 2 daughters. That shit ain't happening. Not under my watch. Moms, like, if you have children, we can't just go around assuming that everything is okay. And although, you know, there's some people that you can trust in this world, just don't assume. Ask her, ask your children, ask them if everything's okay. Ask them if there's any cause of concern. I know I have, even though I didn't see it. I don't, you know, I would have never looked at my husband like, oh, you perv. He's so far from it. That's not him. It's not him. But I still never assumed. I still talked to my kids. I still got their opinions on certain things. Of if anything made them uncomfortable, or if, you know, I asked them. I didn't want to walk around assuming, oh, well, I ain't see anything, so maybe nothing's happening. So let's stop assuming. Talk to our babies. Let's talk to our children and get down to the bottom of it. Talk to your children. Like, seriously, talk to your children. Don't assume, because assuming, it would just get you in a place where now you're 25, now your kid is 25 and 30, and she's resenting you for not what she thought was the obvious. She thought it was obvious because it was happening to her, but because you didn't see it, you just thought everything was all gravy. We need to stop assuming and talk to our children and ask them. I don't care who it is. I don't give a damn who it is. I don't care how much you think you can trust who you're with. You probably have the right to trust them. But at the end of the day, stop assuming that everything is all right. I know people whose own father, uncles, brothers. I know people whose own family members has done shit to them. We have to stop assuming, and we have to talk to our babies. We have to talk to our girls. Our sons too. They're not exempt. We have to talk to them. That's the only way you will know for sure. That's the only way you will know for sure. Like, I don't think y'all understand. Like, I live in Georgia right now because there was so much shit going on when I was in Florida. Like, at the time that I made up my mind to move to Georgia, I was actually coming up here to visit. But prior to the visit, I had my 2 girls. They were, how old were they? 4 and 7, or 3 and 7. Or at the end of the day, they were my babies. I was taking one of my sisters to work. She worked overnight, so from 9 until whatever time. I was taking her to work, and it was really far. So I was waking up my babies to get them out of bed, to put them in the car to take one of my sisters to work. I had an uncle living with me, and then I had my mom living with me, and it was just all on me. Like, it was all on me, you know. And I chose to take that trip to Georgia, and I was just visiting. But when I got back, and because I left my mom in my house, when I left, trusting. And when I got back, and when all my shit was missing out of my house, all kind of shit was stolen out of my house, I was just like, that's it. That's the goddamn barrel that broke the camel's back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was done at that point. I'm like, no more. I cannot take this anymore. Like, literally, I was looking for my mama. Ooh, I was looking for her. I wanted my shit back. And people's like, you can't fight your mama. I'm like, I'm not trying to fight her. I just want my shit back. Like, but I remember being so hurt and crying. Like, it was the drugs at that time, and this was like 2011, y'all. Everybody's like, she's on drugs, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, that's fucked up. Like, you can't do that to people. Like I was so hurt by that, and I just chose to move away from it, and I didn't talk to my mom until like I had my son, until like 2013. Like, she would call me all the time and be like, you can't be mad at me forever. I'm your mama. And I'm like, whatever. So, but I'm telling y'all, there's so much shit. And I'm just so happy that I was able to get to a place where I didn't have to raise my children around all of that dysfunction. Like, I'd rather you be absent than to be present, half-assing, and dysfunctional as fuck. Like, that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. I think the kicker out of all of this is that my mother and this man is still together. And, excuse my French, but anytime that motherfucker see me, he's always, hey. Like, don't say shit to me. Like, don't. Why are you talking to me? Like, I have nothing to say to him. Nothing. He shouldn't have anything to say to me. Like, that's what's crazy. And like, he's caused this whole rift between my mother and I. Like, we don't have a relationship. He definitely tells her, oh, none of your kids, they don't love you. I'm the only person that love you. What manipulators do, But my mother knows that if she ever need anything, if she ever, need somewhere to go, that she can definitely give me a call. And I just, that situation in the summer of 2017, I told myself, I vowed that I was letting that shit go. And I let it go. There was a point in time where I felt like I was trying to buy my mother's love and do this and just give in hopes that she would see that I love her and that, regardless of any and everything. But it's just so much there, especially because she's still with this guy, and he don't like me because I'm so vocal and because I'm just real, and the feeling's mutual. I don't like his ass either. So that's kind of put my mother in a place where she still chose him, which I don't expect her to choose me. I'm a grown ass woman, but that's her life, and I have to respect that. So I'm just over here. I'm gonna be over there, but she do know that if she ever needs anything, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I can give to my mom at this point. I knew I had to stop pointing the finger, because it happened. It happened already, and here I was in my 30s, just still hurting by it and just still trying to make sense out of it. So I chose to look at her like a human being, right? My mom loved us the best way that she knew how. And I know that to be facts. She went through a lot of stuff growing up. With her own mom, there's like a generation of teen moms. Like, the oldest birthed their child at 15. I believe my great-grandmother, I believe my grandmother, my mom, me. And I'm just happy that I was able to break that generational curse with my oldest daughter. That situation, it just gave me a lot of trust issues. I don't trust people. I remember And you just never know that you're going to go through life like that. So I just recall, you know, you have certain triggers. And I just recall, I think my oldest is 18 now. She was in the 8th grade at this time. I think she was like 13. And I was washing her clothes. And I think I went somewhere and left them, like they were in the wash, and I went somewhere, and when I think I got back or something, I think my husband had put her clothes in the dryer for me. To him, he was helping me. He was helping me. And I lost it. Like, I was like, you can't touch her clothes. Like, she's a big girl now. Like, she has her underwear, and like, you can't do that. Like, that shit has caused a lot of trust issues. And okay, fast forward. My mom definitely loved us. Loved all of her children the best way that she knew how. I do forgive my mom. Because I don't think she knew. She probably knew to the capacity, but I know that drugs, it just damages and ruins so many families and so many things. Like, so my thing is not to just blame it on the drugs. It totally was not just the drugs. Like, my mom had been through so much stuff, and as an adult now, I'm able to see her as a human being and forgive her and break as many generational curses as I can with my children, be an open book to my children, and protect my children. I wasn't given that from her, but I can definitely, and I have been given that to my children. So, I mean, I guess that's the light at the end of the tunnel. I think so many times we wait to see if not everything have a solution to it. Some things are just left unsolved, and I think that's just one of those things where I'll never understand because I'm just not that person. I'll never understand why she chose certain things and not her children, or why she put that man ahead of us or before us. I'll never understand that. So, and I'm okay with that. It just took a lot, and that's just like a fraction of, like, it was so much shit going on in that house. It was stealing, goddamn drugs, just all kind of disrespect, like invading of people's privacy. Like, it was so much going on. And, you know, I can't dwell on what happened to me, but I can definitely be a better parent to my children, and that's definitely what I've been doing, and that's, you know, I feel like I've been doing a great job so far. So, you know, I don't know. I'd like to thank y'all for listening to my story. And I told this story because I know that there's so many people out there. There's so many of us, y'all. There's so many of us, and we have to put a stop to that shit. Like, if it didn't stop with your mom or your grandmother or with you, at least stop that shit with your children. Like, seriously, stop it. It has to end somewhere. Like, it has to end somewhere. It's not one woman that I don't know. Like, every woman I know has a story, whether it's their story or it's someone close to them. Like, we all, like, it's like, it's normal, and it's not supposed to be normal. Like, I just don't understand, you know. But I hope that this story reaches someone that has struggled or that has gone through something similar to me, or maybe even worse than me. And it inspires you to put a stop to it, like put an end to it. And that's all that I can hope and pray. And again, I'd like to thank y'all for watching or listening to my story. If you're not a subscriber, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below. Make sure that you like it and share it if you feel like there's somebody that needs to hear this. I still don't know if telling a counselor or if telling a different adult would have made the situation different, or if it would have made it worse. Like, I don't know how we would have. My mom had 6 children and she was taking care of 2 others and 3 others at times. So there was like 9 of us in the house at one point. So I don't know where that would have led us, because I don't have my faith in the foster. I don't have my faith in that system. Like, I just really don't. So did I make the right decision? Like, who's to say? I don't know. I was just a kid, lost and feeling like this is just it. Like, this is what it is. So I'm choosing to forgive my mom, and just let go of all that hurt, because like I said, even though she wasn't able to provide that to me, and from her mouth, her mother wasn't able to provide that to her, I'm able to provide that to my children, and I'm okay with that.